I'm Scott Shilstone. We're on the go here at Netflix FYSEE LA with Adolescence. Adolescence is definitely a show that requires a lot of its actors. To say that it's intense would be an understatement, but I'm curious, as an actor, how do you keep yourself grounded in those really intense moments? I mean, how do you not bring the work home with you?
To be honest, I don't know if personally I did bring it home. I don't know how to not. That's for me the sign of something that I really want to be a part of, is when you can't not stop thinking about it. That's why I didn't even read the scripts, to be fair. Like, when I spoke to Stephen about why he wanted to tell this story, the catalyst for him, I just knew that I had to be a part of something so important.
It didn't feel like we were filming such a dark programme at the time, was it? Because the whole crew and the cast was just so lovely. So when I filmed episode 3 first, I was expecting it to be quite challenging and hard, considering the script was quite intense. But no, as soon as I got there, I was perfectly fine. The script was fine, and I got welcomed into a nice crew.
It was like a nice little camp together. So once we'd finished shooting, we'd go back to base, and he'd just be playing swing ball all the time. And everyone kind of, all the rest of the cast kind of really got to know each other, and it was just a wonderful environment. So you switched on and you locked on as soon as action was called and just before that. Yeah. And then you just threw it away.
Each episode is filmed as a single continuous shot. What sort of challenges does that present as an actor? I have to imagine that's kind of more like doing theater than it is doing traditional television.
Exactly that. You hit the nail on the head. It's theater on screen, basically. But it's intense, bro. I mean, like, I can't lie. I spent a lot of time in my apartment every evening crying into my script. Like, how am I going to do this? I'm going to be the one that messes up. And I feel like everyone felt a bit of that tension as well. But it was the moment where you kind of, you had all the information you needed, all the words were in your head, and then you let go of them. And you just listen and you respond to your other actors. It became the most beautiful process in the world.
I mean, it wasn't my creative choice. It was brought to me as that idea by Stephen and Phil. I've got to say, it's changed the way I'm going to write forever.
Yeah.
That thing of being partial, of telling incomplete stories, just unlocked so much for me, and just meant that You always want to be in the situation as a writer where you're making the viewer lean forward. Mm-hmm. And with the one shot, it's almost automatic, because there might be a detail that just passes in a flitting second that they know might be crucial. And I think it just creates something really exciting. And for the actors, it just unlocks their control over the story.
When I got told it was all filmed in one shot, I thought it was going to be impossible.
We do a 3-week rehearsal process. So for those 2 weeks, you're doing nothing but rehearse the script and rehearse the moves and rehearse how we're moving in that space. Yeah. And then the final week, we're a production company. We do 2 takes a day.
Right.
So you get ready in the morning, you have your breakfast, you're all having a great time, and then 10:30, bang, you go for your first take.
What scene scared you the most on the page, and then what was it like getting through it on the day?
To be honest, I was most nervous prior to shooting about that final moment when you see Brian E break down. But actually, that became the easiest part of the scene to shoot, because we'd kept a lid on it for so long that the minute that Owen left the room, I had to kind of emotionally release all that we had built up. So it funnily enough became my favourite part.
I think in episode 3, when Jamie's going into context, and he's going into more detail about the things with Katie and what he could have done and stuff like that. When I read that, I was like, I don't know about that. But then, as soon in rehearsals, in the 2 weeks of rehearsals, I was perfectly fine doing it, and because of the people around me that that helped me.
Episode 1, the last scene where I interview Jamie, was the hardest scene, and that was the scene that scared me the most on the page. What
sort of conversation do you hope this starts?
It's definitely a conversation that has been talked upon in a lot of houses, and Stephen says in a lot of interviews that it's not always the parents to blame. It's to the school, it's to the friends, it's to the environment that he's in. It takes a village to raise a child, is that what you say?
That's it.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is mainly why I wanted to be a part of it, is because I've always kind of held social media at arm's length for that very reason. I think it can infiltrate our lives in ways that we're not even conscious of, and before you know it, you're addicted to this thing. So hopefully, I think it opens up the conversation to how we use social media and are kind of implementing healthy boundaries.
The show was so important and kind of came at the right time. I feel like where a lot of parents around the world felt like they didn't have permission to tell their kids about the internet or to talk to their kids about the dangers of the internet. And I think once you see Adolescence, you're kind of like, well, now I have an example. You know, now it gives me permission to have that conversation that I've been struggling to have with my child. And I think that's why it resonated so much, you know, globally.
We never ever, at the very beginning, we never expected it to have the success. We've just been talking about it over there. You know, it's a little colloquial drama that was made with truth, honesty, love, integrity, and a lot of passion. And we wanted to just tell this story, this fictitious story that, you know, it could happen to anyone. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why it's resonated.
No, I think when a story is authentic, it feels authentic, and it challenges an audience, and it causes them to think about their own lives and to reflect on the children around them and to reflect on their own childhood. And I think that catharsis, that empathy, then leads to conversation, or it seems to have led to conversation. The best reactions I've had to this show have been friends saying, I've just had a conversation with my teenager that I haven't had for years. And that is what you live for as a writer, you know?